Hi and welcome to this course, Build Pet Food E-commerce website using Laravel. In this course, you will be taught how to build a complete pet food e-commerce website using Laravel. And I'm going to be taking you from the very beginning all the way to building the complete website. First of all, I'm going to teach you how to install Laravel and PHP and how to set up the environment. Second, I'm going to teach you how to use Blade template and how to incorporate an amazing pet shop template. And then I'm going to teach you how to use CSS and HTML in a Laravel project. And I'm going to teach you also how to add products to your database, how to create the database, how to add products to your database, how to allow customers to add products to cart so that customers will be able to add different pet foods in their cart, and they will also be able to increase and or decrease the quantities of the products that they want to buy. You will also be taught how to calculate the total of the products that users want to buy, and you will also be taught how to let customers check out. So customers will be able to check out and fill out a form to make a new order, and you as the owner of the website will be notified because you will know whenever a customer makes a new order. Moreover, I'm going to teach you how to incorporate PayPal. So customers will be able to pay you using PayPal. And I'm going to teach you how to incorporate PayPal in a real environment, meaning that you will be able to receive real money from your customers using PayPal. All of these things will be taught in this course to make sure that you will be able to create a complete e-commerce website, and also you will be on your way to become a professional Laravel developer.
So let me now walk you through the files and folders that are there in a typical Laravel project. So we have the first folder that we have is the app, which contains probably the most important folders because it contains the HTTP and it contains also the models. The models, by default, we have a model called user.php, and in the HTTP you will find that we have a folder called controllers, which contains the controller.php. And whenever you create a new controller, it's going to be created inside that folder. And we have another 2 or 3 folders. We have the console, we have the exceptions, and we have the providers. These folders are usually aren't going as a developer, you aren't going to work with them directly. These folders contain just configurations and things that are required for your project to work successfully. So you aren't going to work with them directly. The two most important folders here in this folder are the HTTP and the models. Then we have the Bootstrap. The Bootstrap, in short, is the folder that is required to initiate your project. So once somebody goes to your project, this Bootstrap is gonna start the process of showing the user your web application. We have also the configuration, the config folder, which contains configurations such as the database, the file systems, the mail, many things. We have the database, which is responsible for creating tables and migrating tables and manipulating tables. We have the public, which contains the CSS and the JavaScript, and also anything you want to upload. We have the resources, which contains the views. And the views is the most important folder in terms of the HTTP and the CSS code, because in the views you are going to work with HTML. Whenever you want to create an HTML file, it's going to be created in this views folder. And then we have the roots. The roots actually contains the links that are going to let the user go to specific pages, specifically in the web.php, which is the most important file in this folder. This file is going to let you create roots, which also known as links, where users will be able to go to and they will be able to interact with your application. We have the storage, which is responsible for storing anything you want to upload. We have the disks. If you want to run unit tests, this file is going to be used. Finally, we have a bunch of files here, free files. The most important ones are the composer.json and also the .env. The composer.json contains information about your packages, versions that are used in this project, and also the .env contains information about the environment variables. All the environment variables, such as the application name, the database configurations, the database credentials, all of them are here in this .env file. So this is just a quick overview of a typical Laravel project. So now that we have our project running in our Google Chrome or your browser, let me explain what happens behind the scenes. So what happens once you run your project is that here what happened is that once you got to this URL, which is just / here, if you type / and hit enter, what happened is that this function gets called, and this function returns a view, and that view is called welcome, which is the default view that comes with Laravel. But where is this view? Where is this view? The question is, where is this view? Well, this view is inside the resources and then inside the views. Whenever we have a view, we create that view in the views folder. And as you can see, this view, if you open it, you'll find that it's just a simple HTML code. Simple HTML with some CSS. So it's actually HTML, but here it says welcome.blade.php. Why do we have this blade and .php, not HTML? Well, because in Laravel uses a template engine called Blade, which adds extra features that aren't available in normal and simple HTML. And Blade is just an awesome template engine, and I'm going to be explaining what it does later. But for now, what you need to know is that the name of the view is goes here first, and then .blade.php. Always, whenever you create a new view, you need to add this extension .blade.php, because you are going to add the extra features that Laravel and Blade uses. And here in the web.php, you need, in order to return a view, all you need to do is that you need to pass the name of the view without .blade.php. Don't here pass the extension. If you pass the extension, it's not gonna work. Laravel is smart enough to find out what the view that you mean here and you want to return to the user. So basically, Laravel is gonna go to the resources and then the views, and it's gonna look for the name of the view that matches the one that you passed here. So it's gonna take that name and then it's gonna try to match it with the views that you have in the views. And once it finds it, it's just gonna return it to the user. And that's exactly what happened in here once you got to the / and then once you have hit enter, what happened is that it returned this page, which is the Laravel default view. So now it's time to work on the front end. We need to create our main page. And to create our main page, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to divide the page into 3 sections: the header, the content, and the footer. Why am I doing this? The reason is because the header and the footer will be the same for all pages. Therefore, we don't need to create the header and the footer every time we create a new page. We can create the header and the footer once, and then we can use these 2 files. We can create them in separate files, and then we can use these files in every page we create later. So how can we do all of this? How can we create all of this? Well, as I told you earlier, Blade will let us do this. Blade is super powerful and will let us do that. So first of all, in the views, what we need to do is that we need to create a new folder. And then that folder, I'm going to name that folder layouts. And then this folder will contain the files that I talked about. It's going to contain the header and the content, or the main and the footer. So here in the layouts, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a new file, and then I'm going to name it header.blade.php. And I'm going to create also a new file called footer.blade.php. And in the header, I'm going to here type, just for now, I'm going to add h1, and then I'm going to say header, just to show you how the structure is going to be. And the footer, I'm going to also add here h1, and then I'm going to say footer. And I'm going to also create a file here in the layouts called main.blade.php. And this main.blade.php, what's going to do is that it's going to import the header and the footer. So here, to import the header and the footer, we say in Laravel, we say at, and then include, and then we include the file that we want. So the file that we want is the header, which is inside the layouts. So here I'm going to say layouts.header. And we don't type the extension. We don't say .blade.php. And we also need to include here, include, and then footer, layouts first, layouts, because we want to access the layouts folder, and then .footer, which is the file. And then in between the header and the footer, we want the content. So the content, in order to inject a content here, we use what's called at yield, and then the name of the yield, here the name of the thing that you want to inject. I'm going to name it content. So what yield is, basically this yield would let us inject content between the header and the footer. So whenever we use this main.blade.php later, we can inject whatever content we want. So let me now save, and let me create our main page. So this is the structure, header, footer, and the main. So the main contains the header and the footer and the content. Now in the views, not in the layouts, in the views itself, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to name it index.blade.php, which is going to be our first file. And this index.blade.php is going to extend the main.blade.php, because the main contains the header, it contains also the footer, and it contains the content that we can inject, the area where we can inject the content. So here in the index.blade.php, in order to import the main.blade.php, we don't say at include. Instead, we say extends, because we use extends because we want to inject here the content. So we extend the main.blade.php because we want to use it and inject things to it. So we extend it. So I'm going to say here extends, and then layouts.main. We extend the main. And then in order to inject something here between the header and the footer, we use what's called section. So here I'm going to say at section, and then the name of the section is going to be content. Because remember, in the main.blade.php, we have named it content. We have named the yield content. So the section is going to be also content. And then here we need to say at end section. And then between this section and end section, we can inject our HTML code. So here I'm going to say h2, and then I'm going to say our content. Finally, we need to return or take the user to the index.blade.php. So in the web.php, instead of taking the user to the welcome, I'm going to take the user to the index, which is our main page. Now, if you save everything and head on over to the browser, guess what? Let me refresh and show you what's going to happen. So as you can see, what happened is that now we have the header, we have the content, and we have the footer. And our code now, our view now is very, very organized, where it's going to help us a lot later, and we don't have to repeat ourselves. and the process of debugging our code or adding or editing our view is going to be super simple.
So I'm going to be using this template. So I'm going to integrate this template into my Laravel project. And since this is not an HTML and CSS course, I'm not going to build the template from scratch. So I'm going to be using this template. And if you have your own template, feel free to use it. However, I recommend using this template because I want you to follow the steps so that you understand how to integrate a template into your Laravel project. And then you can use your own template. But if you don't want to use this template, that's fine. But you need to follow the steps carefully so that you will be able to integrate the template in the website. So let me integrate this. To start integrating the template, you need to open the template as well as the project side by side, the folders. So this is on the left side, this is the project. On the right side, this is the template. So here in the template, we have a few files, and we need to include these files. So the first step is that we need to start with the CSS and images and JavaScript and all of these folders. So in my Laravel project, we need to open the public, and then we need to open the CSS, and then in the template, we need also to open the CSS, and then we need to copy the files from the template. So we have here two files. I'm going to copy them. I'm going to copy these two. And then I'm going to paste them in the CSS. Similarly, with JavaScript, we have here two. We have here JavaScript. I'm going to open it, and then here we have also, I think, two files. Let me open the JavaScript here in the template. In the template, we have, let me go back, and then let me click on the JavaScript. So I have only one JavaScript file. Let me copy it. And then I'm going to paste it in the JavaScript here in my project. Now we need to get the images. So for the images, I'm going to create a folder for the images. So here in my public, I'm going to create a new folder. You need to create a new folder. I'm going to here create a new folder, and I'm going to name it images. And then I'm going to open the image folder in the template, and then I'm going to copy all of the images. I'm going to select all of the images from here all the way to the end. I'm going to select all of them, and then I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to paste them in the images here. In these images, I'm going to open the images, and then I'm going to paste these files. By the way, you can drag and drop the files if you want. But if you do so, the images will be moved from the template. So you will not be able to use the template later. Now we need to get also the other two folders. We have another two folders. We have the SCSS, and we have the library, the lib folder. So we need to get these as well. So to get these, I'm going to copy the lib here. I'm going to copy it. lib, I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste it in my public here. I'm going to paste it here. So we have here the library. Make sure that you have this lib folder. Finally, we have the SCSS, and it has, if you open it, you will find that it has another folder called Bootstrap. So we need to copy the SCSS. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste it in the public. So now make sure that you have the CSS, the images, the JavaScript, the library, the lib, and the SCSS. Now we are done with the first part. The second part is to get each individual file and integrate it into our project. But this is going to take a little bit of time because we have to follow the blade structure that we created earlier. So we need to start with the index. I'm going to open the index in any text editor. I'm going to open it in Sublime, and we need only to copy not the entire file. Instead, we just need to copy the area after the header, because we don't want to copy everything. And for the header, we need to copy the header. Let me explain this one more time because it's a little complicated. This is my Laravel project. First, I'm going to open the resources, and then I'm going to open the views, and then I'm going to open up the layouts. And then in the layouts, I'm going to open the header, and then I'm going to remove this file. I'm going to remove this code. And then I'm going to open the template. I'm going to open the index of the template. So let me open the template. This is the template. I'm going to open the index. And then I'm going to copy from the beginning all the way to the end of the header, which is this part, which is this navigation bar. This here, it says nav end. So we need to copy only this part. And then we need to paste it in the header.blade.php. And that's it. We are done with the header. Now let's get the footer. So to get the footer, again, we need to open the index one more time. And I'm doing this slowly because I want you to understand how it works. Now in the index.html, we need to get the footer. So you need to scroll to the end. And then at the end, you need to get the footer. So the footer starts from here. The footer starts from here. From here, footer start. I'm going to copy all the way to the end of the template. And then I'm going to open in my Laravel project, I'm going to open the footer, and then I'm going to paste the code. Instead of this footer, I'm going to remove this, and then I'm going to paste the code. And then I'm going to click on File and then Save. Now let's work on the index, which is this index. We need to open the index.blade.php and get the code for the index. So for the index, let me again open the index.html. And then we don't want to get the header or the footer. Instead, we just need to get the code between the header and the footer. So after the navigation end here, we need to copy this and this and this and this and also this. And that's it. That's it. Here, we don't need the footer. So we need to copy from here, from the below the navigation, here this code and this code and this code and this code and this code as well. And we need to leave out the footer and the header because we already integrated them. Now in my template, in my Laravel project, between the section and the end section, we need to paste that code. We need here to paste. And that's it. Now we are done. However, we need to make reference to the CSS and JavaScript and the images that we included earlier. And to do this, we need to open the three files again. So I'm going to open the header, and then we cannot, in Laravel, we cannot say css/bootstrap.main.css. It's not going to work. Instead, in Laravel, we have to use a function called asset, because the asset function will point to the public, which includes the CSS and the JavaScript and the library and the images and everything. So instead of saying like this, instead of using this relative, welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to include other files. So we have so many files in the template. However, I'm not going to include all of them. I'm going to include only the ones that we will need now. And then later, once we need each of these files, I'm going to include each one as we need them. So I'm going to start with the products. So in order to get this products file, first in our Laravel project, we need in the views, we need to create a new file called products. So I'm going to create here a new file. I'm going to save as products.blade.php. So it must be products.blade.php. Now we need to add the basic code. So the basic code, when I say basic code, I mean the extension. So the extents. Remember, if you open the index, you'll find that we have these two lines. We need to copy these two lines from the index and then paste them in the products.blade.php. And then at the end here, we need to say at end section, end section. And in between, end section. And in between, we have to pass the code. So the code, we get the code from the template. If you open the products, you will find that we have the code. So if you open the products here, we don't need to get the header or the footer. We just need to get what's between the header and the footer. So if you scroll, you'll find here the navigation bar. We need to start from here. From below the end of the navigation bar, we need to get this code. And we need to get this code. And this. And this. And that's it. Here, we also need this. And that's it. We don't need the footer. So we just need to get from here all the way to above the footer. Copy. And then in my template, in my project, between the section and the end section, we need to paste the code. And then whenever we have an asset, whenever we have an image or JavaScript or CSS, we need to change the directory by using the asset function. So here in the products, we have a few images. Here I have this image. I need to say double curly braces and then asset. And then I'm going to pass the asset here. I'm going to pass the directory here in the asset function. And then I have this image as well. And then I have this image. And then I have this image. And we are done. Here we are done with this. The next page that we want to integrate is the single product page. So I'm going to create a new, in the views, I'm going to create a new file. And then I'm going to save as single product. I'm going to say single underscore product dot blade.php. And then we need to follow the same steps. First, we need to get the basic code. Again, when I say basic code, I mean the 2 lines, because these 2 lines represent the structure of the template, of the file. And then we need to say at end section, and then in between, we need to get the code. So I'm going to open the template. This is the template on the right side. I'm going to open the single product page. And then I'm going to get the code between the header and the footer. So from here, from here, we need to start copying. And it's very simple. Here in the single product, we only have this simple code. And then I'm going to paste it between the section and the end section. And again, whenever we have a JavaScript or CSS or image, we need to change its directory. So here I'm going to say double curly braces and then asset, and then we pass the image into the asset function. The last page that I'm going to integrate for now is the about. So I'm going to create a new, in the views, I'm going to create a new file called about.blade.php. And again, I'm going to get the basic code. Again, when I say basic code, I'm referring to the 2 lines that import the header and the footer. I'm going to get this. And then in the about, I'm going to paste this. And then I'm going to say at end section. And in between, I'm going to get the code from the template. From the template here, I'm going to get the about code. So the about code, we need to get again below the header, below the navigation bar. We need to get this part and this part. And that's it. We need to leave out the header and the footer. And then I'm going to paste this in the between the section and the end section of the about.